Hi, I'm Michelle Hodap. I'm one of the TC Fit personal trainers. We've also got Kelsey and Kendall and Matt on the call. So
Hello.
give us some
Hi.
wave. This question and answer series is really all about your questions and having these fitness pros try to help answer and point you in a direction. So I encourage you to ask your questions at any point. And today's topic is heart rate. So what are the basics of the heart, and what's its function for us? It's going to pump blood and oxygen throughout our body. It starts by pumping oxygen depleted blood into our lungs, where it picks up that oxygen and then it pumps it back out to our digits or our hands and our feet and all the way through to all of our organs. And while heart rate can affect your blood pressure, they are two different things. Our focus today is more on the heart rate. Heart rate is measured in beats per minute. And for most of us, that resting heart rate is going to be between 60 and 100 beats per minute. If you're really well trained, it might be as low as 40. Or if you happen to have kids, the younger the kid, typically the higher the heart rate, the resting heart rate. Heart rate is a measurement, one of the many measurements of our health. So that's why it's always good to kind of know what your resting heart rate is or what's a normal heart rate for you, because then you'll know if there's a change and to potentially adapt or find out more about why that change happened. With exercise, no surprise, but as you increase your intensity, your heart rate increases, and that's so it can get more oxygen to those working muscles and they can work successfully for us. And maybe we can start just with a little bit of a spin around with our team here, sharing what your favorite cardiovascular exercise may be, what works for you or what works with your clients that you work with. Kendall, do you want to give us some ideas?
Sure. So if we were to talk about a cardiovascular machine, whether you have one or at the gym, I love this. There's a couple different names for it, but stair mill, step mill, something to where you're climbing the stairs. Some people feel like you're climbing to nowhere, but I personally like it. So I think it's a good tool, and it is definitely difficult for me and helps to kind of shape the glutes and hamstrings and quads too.
While we're not in the gym, is there something that you like to do at home for cardiovascular exercise?
Honestly, between, leading the body weight classes that we've been doing, I've been doing some different online fitness classes as well. Just, I know what I should be doing, but every now and then it's nice to be told what to do, so I don't have to think. So I've been doing like Peloton, but a lot of the body weight classes, and they do jumping jacks, burpees. I don't necessarily enjoy burpees, but I'll do them. So that's kind of what I've been doing to try to stay sane during this time.
And hi everyone, Kelsey. So my jam for cardio fitness is step aerobics. Irina, I'm looking at you, and Katya. So that's my favorite. It just really helps pass the time and is fun. But since we're not in the gym right now doing step classes, like Kendall said, the body weight hit stuff has been good. I also like getting on my bike and just biking around, either for like a legit ride or just biking around with my boys. I really, that's what we've been doing most. And then like the physical activity of just gardening or working in the yard or playing or cleaning and whatnot, but biking. And then I'm a fitness class girl. So the step aerobics class is my jam.
Matt, we haven't seen your face in a lot of classes. What do you like to do for your home cardio activity?
Oh, called out.
Yeah, you're on mute.
Thanks for that nice intro, Michelle. I I've run in the past. I don't think I've missed a 10 miler, Twin Cities 10 miler in about 15 years. I've run almost every single one other than one or two. But my left knee's been giving me problems, so I've kind of changed up and have been doing some cycling with an app, and then also trying to follow a Tabata protocol as well. And Tabata, for those that don't know, it is a high intensity interval training that has been shown to increase VO2 max and aerobic capacity in only like 20, 30 minutes. The deal is with the Tabata though, you have to hit it hard. It's not fun because you have to go, and these guys can comment as well at like 90% when it's go time for that 20 or 30 seconds. So that's what I've been doing lately, Michelle. Just trying to experiment with different things outside of just going for a 3 to 10 mile run. So, and my knee feels better for it. I'm not against running, but just as a officially middle-aged male now, those joints have to be respected.
Sure, that's fair. Kelsey, we're going to put you on the spot. Do you have any recommendations for virtual step classes?
Yes, Irina. I have one on our TC Fit YouTube page that is a couple months old, but I've been meaning to revamp and do a new one. So thank you for the reminder. I also follow on social media Step Junkie. She has a lot of fun videos, whether, it's on her site or on YouTube as well. So you might see a couple familiar combos that I may have borrowed from her, but Step Junkie is one that I would recommend. Or Kathy Friedrich. If you subscribe to her, she might also have some miscellaneous step workouts on her website. So Kathy Friedrich, Step Junkie, or TC Fit YouTube. Those are my suggestions.
Perfect.
Thanks, Kelsey.
And again, I just want to remind all of the audience out there, don't hesitate to jump in with your questions or add them to the meeting chat. I'm going to go ahead and share a document that we will also share on the Yammer page when this is done. And it tells us a little bit about our heart rate zones and calculating those heart rate zones. But even if you're not measuring your pulse on your wrist or on your neck or with a heart rate device, there's the option of making a guesstimate with rate of perceived exertion. And I think most of our trainers use this scale of 1 to 10. There are some scales out there that go from like 7 to 21 and that type of thing. 1 to 10 seems to work the best mentally for us. And Matt mentioned HIIT training, high intensity interval training. Kelsey or Kendall, do you want to talk about what a HIIT class looks like?
So HIIT class, typically we've been doing this body weight just because it's easier to do at home, and if people don't have any equipment. Essentially HIIT training is, one format of it is going hard, kind of like Tabata, going hard for a certain amount of time and then either taking a quick break or bringing your heart rate back down by doing a more moderate intensity exercise. So again, hitting it hard and then bringing it back down. It kind of trains your heart rate to, again, go up and down like that. It makes it a lot more difficult and allows you to work a little bit harder because you're allowing yourself to rest in between.
Yeah, I 100% spike, recover, spike, recover. And Victoria, I'm seeing your question right here. How long should my heart rate be in that zone for a successful workout? So when we say zone, Michelle, I don't know if you want to put that up again or not, but ideally, exercising between 60 to 85 or 90% of your max heart rate. And you can do so by the calculation that we'll post here on the document in a little bit. And it depends on what type of workout you're doing. So if you're doing a HIIT workout for 20 to 30 minutes, you're going to be in the higher workout zones or your higher aerobic and anaerobic zones, and then trying to recover the best you can, but you're kind of spiking and recovering again. If you're doing a longer endurance type exercise, walking, running, just kind of a gentle or a moderate bike, then maybe staying in the lower portions of your heart rate zone so you can sustain that activity. So hopefully that helps. I don't know if anyone else wants to chime in there.
Yeah.
Well, and also, oh, go ahead, Michelle.
I was just going to say, Kelsey mentioned or used the terms aerobic. So when we're in that aerobic zone, our body's successfully using the oxygen we take in, and we're able to maintain that intensity for a longer duration of time. When we're in this performance or this anaerobic zone, our body's not using that oxygen as efficiently. It's still beneficial for our heart rate, but we're going to spend shorter bursts there. So that's the high intensity training when you're up in that sprint to the finish line. But for an extended duration workout, and I'm talking about anything more than even 4 or 5 minutes, you're going to want to look in this fitness or this aerobic zone.
Hey, can I ask a quick question of the team too? When you are doing these HIIT training workouts, would you tell your participants at what RPE or what rate of perceived exertion do you tell people they should be at to make it successful? Obviously taking into account joints and old people like me.
Well, and it kind of depends too. If we talk about, what Kelsey said of the spike and then bringing it back down, typically, if I'm leading a class and actually working with clients, let's say if we're doing a high intensity exercise, given, let's say, skaters or burpees, anything that is going to be really difficult, the max I tend to do it for is about a minute. I'd say about 30 seconds to a minute. Obviously, with that HIIT intensity training, you're not able to sustain it for a long period of time. So that's why we spike it up and down. Now, if you think about, the period of how long a workout should be, you can do that for 20 to 30 minutes. And by the end of it, you're going to be feeling probably about an 8 to a 10. And that's also, if I put a client on a machine or if we're doing different exercises, I'll tend to use RPE. If we don't have a heart rate monitor on, I'll use RPE and say, okay, where are you at? Scale 1 to 10, 10 being maxed out, 8 being, hard to exercise and talk at the same time. Where are you feeling? And this kind of gives me a good gauge at what exercise that we're doing and how long, you're able to do that for. And each person is different and unique, and all levels are different. So I think RPE is really great when using exercise, especially if you don't have a monitor. And let's say if you're on a treadmill for, one of the first times and we're doing a slow jog, RPE is really good to use, because sometimes, maybe your heart rate is up a little bit higher, yet your RPE is at 5 or a 6. So everyone is unique and different.
And Kendall, just jumping in with that, I'm going to reiterate that RPE is rate of perceived exertion. So it's how you're feeling, not just an actual measurement of your heart rate, but kind of a subjective assessment of your workout. Warm-ups are important. We talk about warm-up for our muscles and our joints, but it's also important for our heart. So make sure anytime you're starting a new workout that day, or that you're gradually increasing. So it allows our blood vessels to dilate and our heart and our cardiovascular system to work successfully. Usually with a warm-up, I'd aim for 3 to 5 minutes. Sometimes I push it a little bit and drop that to just a minute, but anything you can do to gradually increase that heart rate is going to benefit your workout. The other thing to note is some medications limit the ability of your heart rate to increase. So if you're taking a medication that maybe affects your heart or your blood pressure, you may want to check with your doctor before you would start a new cardio program. I see a question here about, as one gets fitter, what pattern do you expect to see with the heart rates? So quicker recovery, higher numbers, that type of thing. Kelsey, do you want to start us off on that one?
Sure. Great question. Great question, Irina. Yes, so you will recover quicker the fitter that you get. I believe, if you can recover your heart rate 50 to 60 beats per minute within 2 minutes, that's very good. And it depends on how much sleep you've had the night or how you're feeling or what you've eaten or whatnot. So there's varying factors that go into it. And yes, the more you push your anaerobic threshold by doing your HIIT training, your numbers you might be able to go a little bit harder, and your numbers might, be able to go a little bit higher, but it all depends on kind of how you're feeling as well. So yes, quicker recovery. Anybody else have anything to add there?
I mean, yeah, definitely quicker recovery, and kind of like, what you mentioned, Kelsey, being able to sustain certain exercises for longer. If we were to take, let's say, bring back the burpees, if you were only able to do, let's say, 5 burpees and we're feeling pretty winded from that, obviously the more that you do it, you train your body to do it, then you're able to do more and not feel as winded, or your heart rate isn't as high after, let's say, doing 5 to 10. So it is training your heart rate as far as the intensity. Yes.
Well, it goes without saying too that you're going to lower your resting heart rate as you get more fit, just because your cardiovascular system's working more efficiently. And that's why, people will do exercise, cardiovascular exercise, to help their blood pressure, et cetera. There's a lot of factors that go into those things as well, but the benefits are numerous.
Mm-hmm.
As we wait for any additional questions, I'm just going to share this handout again. We talked about RPE, so that's that subjective measurement. And then there's a chart here. It's pre-calculated, an estimate of heart rate zones, and it's based on your age. So the older we get, the lower our heart rate zones go. And then also there's what we call the Carbonian equation. So this would be the most accurate way to calculate your heart rate zones. It's going to factor in both your age and your resting heart rate. So you need to know in beats per minute what your resting heart rate is. And it's best to measure that when you first wake up in the morning before you get out of bed. If you don't remember to do it at that time, I usually say sit or lay on the couch for about 3 to 5 minutes and then get that measurement in beats per minute. The other thing I was just going to point out with this is if you're using a tracking device like a wearable, it's important to understand what equation your tracking device is using, so that way when you're seeing the number, you know how accurate it is. A lot of those tracking devices only use your age, and other ones will factor in your resting heart rate as well. And the difference between those two equations can be 10, 15, even 20 beats when we're talking about different zones. Has anybody worked out wearing a mask during this time?
Not me.
So
I'm
in the physical therapy clinic, and I do some different types of training with people with that gets the heart rate up, and the masks are proving difficult at times. And I'm trying to find research on oxygen deprivation training to see how it benefits, but you're not going to be able to move as much, and it's uncomfortable for people as well. So, and I don't push people when they have the mask on, because certainly that's going to affect that RPE we talked about as well. And anybody that has any specific cardiovascular issues initially, like a cardiomyopathy or things, if they're not, their body's already affected by different diagnoses that they may have, I definitely take that RPE into account when I'm training in the clinic.
So Kendall and I, go ahead.
No, go ahead. That's fine.
I was going to say, Kendall and I took a webinar on this exact topic, and they're suggesting if you're indoors, you should be wearing a mask with exercising. However, yes, keep your RPE lower. So don't do the high intensity training. It will affect your recovery because your breathing is inhibited there a little bit. So if you need to do the high intensity stuff, do it at your home or do it outside, away from people. Otherwise, if you're on the machine or in a class, it would probably be best to stay at the lower intensity just for safety and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. And another tip that they had was, if it's possible, take your mask off during cool down and allow your body a longer period to cool down. Because they found that, working with athletes were getting a little lightheaded, a little dizzy, and these are athletes. So definitely, even if you find yourself feeling okay during the workout, again, take the time to cool down, because I know a lot of people get in their workout and then just run into the next thing. So take the time to cool down, take off your mask, and just allow your breathing and heart rate to recover.
Kendall, that's a really great point, whether you're wearing a mask or not. When it comes to cardiovascular training, I talked about the warm-up, but the cool down is equally, if not more important, when you've done a high intensity workout. Because your heart rate's not going to immediately return to normal. So you want to make sure you're not getting pooling of the blood in the extremities and that type of thing. So a cool down that lasts, 2 to 5 minutes or even 10 minutes, depending on the workout, is going to help your recovery time.
And the cool down is the best part. It's your reward for your workout. Allow your body to stretch and the muscles to stretch, and it can help with muscle soreness the next day. And again, a lot of people, do a workout and then just run into the next thing. And again, allow your body to recover from it.
Well, I think the other thing to think about as well with this is when wearing a mask when training, and you guys can look for your comments as well, is the importance of hydrating maybe before, because you're probably it's not as easy to get a drink of water during that workout. And also just the mask on in and of itself, I've had people that they sweat through that mask just like you would a t-shirt. And so you're not cooling your body as well with that mask on, and you might be sweating more, and therefore the need for hydration becomes even more important. I don't know if you guys have any comments surrounding that.
Great point.
Yeah, that is a great point, and it's something that I didn't even think of. I think there's a lot of unknowns with this, and that is a great point.
Sure. We're coming up near the end of our 25 minutes, so I would just want to put a call out for any other questions. We've talked a lot about high intensity training. I'm throwing this out to the trainers. How do you respond when somebody says they want to lose weight? What heart rate zone should they be working out in?
All.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's no such thing as just, I want to burn fat, the fat burning zone. We burn fat in all zones, but the more intense you work, the less, of your energy expenditure comes from fat and then therefore goes from sugar and carbohydrates. So it's benefit to do both, do a longer endurance training and then do a HIIT training. Yeah, definitely a mixture of both.
Well, and, we always say, any movement is good movement. So to give you an example, I think a good goal is to hit steps right now, try to get to your 10,000 steps. Yesterday, I, hit 10,000 at about 5 o'clock, and that's an additional 250 calories that I burned. So if you think of, in a weekly breakdown of how many additional calories that is, any movement is good movement.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think also when you talk about weight loss as well, and I know the topic today is more regarding cardiovascular, but I think oftentimes people, they think that getting their heart rate up, going for a run or doing a HIIT class is where it's at, but the importance of resistance training and building muscle. And that can be combined with some of these things as well, but it is important to get those muscles bigger and stronger as well when we talk about weight loss. Weight loss is more than going on a spin bike or going for a run.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that echoes what Kendall said about being well-rounded. Sometimes it's good to go for a longer duration, and sometimes it's good to do a HIIT class, but it's sometimes good to do some resistance training. It keeps us focused and it kind of tricks your body, so your body doesn't get used to one specific type of exercise, and then you're able to burn those calories and those fat molecules, or whatever you want to call it better.
Cells,
right? Accumulation, as it may be.
And if you've been doing the same exercises for 20 years, it's time to switch it up.
Really? This is what I did in high school football, right? Right. Yeah, we hear that all the time.
Well, I want to thank Kendall, Matt, and Kelsey for joining us and answering all these questions today. We are going to post the handout that walks you through the equation and lists the different heart rate zones. But if you have specific or individual questions, don't hesitate to reach out to any one of us, or you can email fitness.center@jenmills.com. And Kendall kind of alluded to this, but our next Q&A presentation coming up on the 19th, we're going to talk about NEAT activities. And NEAT is a fun word, but it's actually an acronym as well for non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So things that you're moving or doing throughout the day and how that helps keep you healthy even beyond your workout. So thank you all for joining. We hope to see you in a couple weeks. And again, feel free to reach out at any time. We're here for you. And we want to help with your exercise questions.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.